Hi everyone, welcome to the series Anti-Aging Under the Microscope. In this series, we look past the marketing claims and dive deep into human clinical trials to find out what actually works and what doesn't in the world of anti-aging. No hype, no wishful thinking, just data. Today we're focusing on spermidine. Let's dive in. You've probably seen headlines or social media posts claiming that spermidine is the new miracle molecule for anti-aging and longevity. But let's slow down and look at the science objectively. Yes, spermidine is a naturally occurring polyamine, a small organic molecule essential for life, found inside virtually every cell of your body. Where does it come from? Your body produces spermidine through a metabolic pathway, starting with one amino acid called ornithine. You also get spermidine from your diet. Foods like wheat germs, soybeans, mushrooms, aged cheese, legumes, nuts, and certain fruits and vegetables are rich sources. Even your gut microbiota, beneficial bacteria like Bacteroides or Lactobacillus, contribute to your internal spermidine levels. And yes, studies in yeast, worms, and mice show that when you block the body's ability to produce spermidine, the effects are dramatic, including impaired development, reduced lifespan, cognitive decline, cardiovascular dysfunction. But here's the critical point that often gets overlooked. Just because a deficit of spermidine shortens lifespan doesn't automatically mean that taking more will make you live longer. The lifespan reduction seen in these animal models happens largely because spermidine plays a vital role in fundamental, critical cellular processes like cell division, immune regulation, protein synthesis, and cellular cleaning systems, such as autophagy. In other words, spermidine is essential, like oxygen or certain vitamins. Lacking it causes dysfunction. That doesn't necessarily mean boosting your levels beyond normal will reverse the biological clock. But here's where things get interesting. Despite the scientific uncertainty, many companies that sell spermidine supplements make bold claims, or at least they strongly imply certain benefits. In many countries, supplement manufacturers aren't allowed to state explicitly that spermidine prevents or treats disease. But the way they market these products cleverly connects spermidine to processes that are indirectly linked to disease prevention or longevity. For example, you'll often hear phrases like spermidine activates cellular cleaning mechanisms. It supports autophagy, the body's natural recycling process, promotes healthy aging by maintaining cellular integrity. And while these statements sound scientific, they carefully stop short of saying this will extend your life or this will treat disease, even though that's exactly the idea being implied. It's a classic marketing strategy. Talk about the biological process and let the customer draw the conclusion. Other claims regarding spermidine include enhancing cognitive function, reducing age-related inflammation, helping you maintain vitality as you age. It is also said to support immunity, enhance physical performance, reduce inflammation, and even help the body to get rid of damaged cells linked to cancer prevention. But the real question is, do we actually have enough evidence to back those claims? Let's break that down. So, what was the first study that really kicked off the hype around spermidine as an anti-aging molecule? In 2009, Eisenberg and colleagues published a groundbreaking paper in Nature Cell Biology showing that external spermidine supplementation could extend lifespan in simple organisms like yeast, worms, and fruit flies. Researchers found that when they gave these tiny creatures extra spermidine, they lived longer. Sounds exciting, right? But here's the reality. These are controlled lab experiments in species that have much shorter lifespans and simpler biology than humans. Extending a worm's life by 15% doesn't mean it'll add decades to yours. Plus, in most cases, the lifespan extension only happened because spermidine boosted autophagy, the cell's natural cleanup system, which declines with age. That's where the marketing lines like promote cellular cleaning come from. So, what are the flaws? First, animal and lab studies don't automatically translate to humans. Second, many of these experiments used high doses or genetic manipulation, not the same as popping a supplement. The actual doses used in those animal studies are nowhere near what you get in a typical spermidine supplement. For example, some of the most cited lifespan studies in mice used spermidine dissolved in drinking water at concentrations around 3 millimolar. So I did a rough estimation. This isn't exact, and it's basically impossible to calculate the precise dose per mouse when using drinking water, but it gives us a ballpark figure. A typical adult lab mouse weighs around 25 grams. Based on average water intake and the 3 millimolar concentration, that works out to roughly 87 milligrams per kilogram of body weight per day for the mouse. Now, before anyone panics, you can't directly apply that dose to humans because of metabolic and size differences. That's why we use standard allometric scaling, based on body surface area, the same method recommended by the FDA. Using that, a human equivalent dose comes out to approximately 7 milligrams per kilogram per day, or about 490 to 500 milligrams of spermidine daily for an average 70 kilogram adult. Compare that to most spermidine supplements on the market, which provide somewhere between 1 and 10 milligrams per day. We're talking an order of magnitude difference, sometimes up to 50 times lower than what's used experimentally in mice. So, when you see products claiming lifespan extension or anti-aging benefits based on these animal studies, remember, they're often referring to doses far beyond what you'd get from a daily capsule. Third, in some knockout animal models, lifespan decreased when spermidine levels were low. But that's because spermidine is essential for basic survival, not because it's a magic anti-aging drug. Deficiency equals dysfunction, but more isn't always better. All right, we've talked about the mouse studies, the bold supplement claims, but let's get real. What do actual human trials say about spermidine? Spoiler alert, it's a mixed bag and the devil is in the details. Let me break down the key studies for you. The results of a first large placebo-controlled trial were published in JAMA Network Open. They followed 100 older adults, aged 60 to 90, all experiencing subjective cognitive decline, basically people worried about their memory but not officially diagnosed with dementia. They got just 0.9 milligrams of spermidine per day for 12 months. The result? No statistically significant improvement in memory function, at least when looking at the whole group. Now, the researchers did spot some possible effects in certain subgroups. People over 70, men, folks with higher baseline spermidine levels. But overall, no clear cognitive boost for the general group. No effects on cardiovascular risk or LDL cholesterol were observed. Next, rewind to 2018. Same research team in Germany, smaller study. 30 participants, same type of cognitive concerns. This time, 1.2 milligrams per day for 3 months. Here they saw a moderate improvement in what's called mnemonic discrimination, basically the ability to tell apart similar memories, measured with a specialized memory task that's more sensitive than regular tests. But standard memory and cognitive tests, no significant changes. Even after supplementation, blood levels of spermidine didn't change. Then we have a 2024 study by Kohane et al., raising an eyebrow for a different reason. They used a much higher dose, 40 milligrams per day, with purified spermidine and included 37 healthy men, aged 50 to 70, for 28 days. And guess what? No substantial change in polyamine levels in the blood or urine, no significant impact on blood chemistry, and no notable clinical effects. Good news, no safety concerns. But still, no breakthrough. Finally, in 2024, a bigger, more interesting study with older adults, some with mild dementia, was conducted. It included 2 groups of treatment, one receiving a high dose, about 2.5 milligrams per day, another one receiving a low dose, about 1.4 milligrams per day, for 3 months. Here's where it gets complicated. In the high-dose group, people with mild dementia showed meaningful cognitive improvement, scoring better on common dementia scales like the MMSE. Serum spermidine levels also increased significantly in that group. Some correlations suggested early intervention, starting around age 60, might help. However, for the lower dose group, no real benefit was observed. In people with more advanced dementia, higher spermidine levels actually correlated with worse performance on some cognitive tasks. What's the takeaway? The human data is all over the place. Different doses, different durations, different results. There is some promise in early-stage cognitive decline with spermidine. No consistent, universal anti-aging or cognitive benefits were confirmed. Bottom line, let's break it down. Do we have enough data to use spermidine as an anti-aging supplement? No. Can it enhance cognition? Potentially, but only in individuals with mild dementia, and even that still needs confirmation. What about reducing age-related inflammation? No solid evidence. Supporting immunity or boosting physical performance? Again, no. The idea that spermidine is a proven anti-aging or brain-boosting supplement for humans, not really backed by clinical trials, mostly fueled by marketing optimism. In other words, the boldest claims live more in clever advertising than in clinical reality. So before you buy into the next miracle molecule, always ask, is this science or just a very polished sales pitch? If you found this breakdown helpful, give it a like and subscribe for more science-based health content.